The velvet box trembled in Nora's fingers, its hinge yielding like a traitor's whisper. Candle flames licked the air, casting golden flickers across Blake's face. His hazel eyes locked on hers, breath held in the penthouse hush. She pried it open. Black pearls gleamed like midnight secrets, the locket's clasp cool against her thumb. Click. The photo tumbled free, him cradling a swollen belly, lips pressed to its curve in raw adoration. Ultrasound shadow, a tiny heart pulsing. 7 years of his barren tears, her buried dreams. All ash. Blake? Her voice cracked, silk gown whispering as she rose. He clutched his chest, face twisting, veins bulging, a guttural cry ripping free. Nora, help! God, it burns! He crumpled, body slamming marble, screams echoing off glass walls like shattering vows. She dropped to her knees, pulse thundering, hands pressing his throat for life amid the lie's fresh grave. What if the man who vowed forever hid not just a child but a soul? Ever uncovered the one you adore cloaked in deception? When vows fracture under hidden truths, can desire's embers reignite? Would you chase forgiveness through the ruins or forge a fiercer flame? Welcome, beautiful souls, to Mr. CAEL Stories, where hearts collide and heal. Subscribers, your passion fuels these tales. Newcomers, hit subscribe for more whispers of love's wild reclaim. If betrayal's sting echoes in you, comment your spark below. Let's ignite together. Stay woven in. The night her world burned bright. The penthouse air hung thick with the scent of orchids and aged oak, a sanctuary Nora had helped curate during those early fever dream days of their courtship. 10 years prior, she'd been 28, fresh from a breakthrough project in the Shanghai, towers that kissed the clouds, her name etched in the skyline like a lover's signature. Blake had swept in then, 32 and already a whisper in Silicon Valley circles, his app for predictive analytics, turning whispers into fortunes. Their first meeting at a gala in the Guggenheim, her in crimson silk that clung like a second skin, him in midnight wool that sharpened his frame to lethal elegance. You build worlds, he'd said, voice low over the hum of champagne flutes, his fingers grazing hers as he handed her a glass. Let me fund the next one. Desire had ignited swift, a blaze that consumed boardrooms and bedrooms alike. Their wedding in Tuscany, vines heavy with summer fruit, her gown a cascade of ivory lace that pooled at her feet as he knelt, rings sliding onto her finger with a vow that echoed in her bones. All I am is yours. Nights blurred into a rhythm of passion, his mouth mapping the arch of her back in their Soho loft, hands pinning wrists above her head as she arched beneath him, gasps mingling with the city's distant roar. You're my anchor, he'd murmur, thrusting deep, her legs locked around his waist, nails carving crescents into his shoulders. Fulfillment came in waves then, bodies slick and synchronized, her cries swallowed by his kiss, raw, unfiltered need that made her feel invincible, desired beyond measure. But cracks formed subtle like hairlines in concrete under strain. 3 years in, the whispers of family, her sketching nurseries in margins of blueprints, him deflecting with jokes about tiny architects causing chaos. Then, the diagnosis, his, or so the labs claimed. Seated on their leather sectional, city lights fracturing through rain-streaked windows. He'd broken, papers trembling in his grip, voice fracturing on sobs. Low count, Nora. Untreatable. I've failed you. Her heart had twisted, a vice of empathy squeezing out her own ache. She'd cradled him that night, his head on her lap, fingers threading his hair as tears soaked her thighs. We choose each other, she'd whispered, kissing his temple, swallowing the hollow throb in her chest. No children then, but their empire, her designs funded by his ventures, shared dreams of legacy in steel and code. She'd armored him with silence, burying longings in work. Dawn runs along the Hudson, where wind whipped her ponytail like a flag of surrender. Late nights in her atelier, where charcoal strokes birthed spires that pierced her unspoken grief. Intimacy shifted, tender now, his touches reverent, lips lingering on her navel as if imprinting apologies. I love you more for this, he'd breathe, entering slow, her body welcoming despite the shadow. She'd climax with him, fulfillment laced with quiet sorrow, holding him through aftershocks as if her embrace could mend what medicine couldn't. Tonight marked the decade, the penthouse transformed into their private cosmos. The string quartet's bows danced over strings in the gallery. Vivaldi's notes weaving through the air like silk threads. Blake had outdone himself, tables groaning under silver-domed dishes, foie gras kissed by caviar's brine, risottos threaded with black truffles that melted on the tongue like forbidden secrets. He rose as she entered, tuxedo molding to his frame like liquid night, extending a hand that pulled her close. "My vision," he said, lips brushing her ear, sending a shiver down her spine. The emerald gown she'd chosen hugged her like a promise, bodice cinching waist to flare over hips, slit parting to reveal thigh with each step. His thumb traced the exposed skin, a spark that stirred embers long banked. "You glow," he murmured, guiding her to the linen-draped table, pouring Dom Perignon that bubbled like suppressed laughter. They toasted, crystal chiming like a heartbeat, his eyes holding hers with that old hunger, the one that once made her knees weaken. Dinner unfolded in languid courses, his foot nudging hers under the table, a teasing press that climbed her calf, heat pooling low as anecdotes flowed. "Remember Tuscany?" he asked, voice husky, fork pausing midair. "Your gown on the villa floor, moonlight on your skin." She laughed, low and throaty, leaning in as quartet swelled. "How could I forget? You devoured me like this risotto." Desire flickered, a tentative flame, his hand capturing hers, thumb circling her pulse, quickening it. As plates cleared, he stood, pocket yielding the velvet box. "The first gift," he said, pressing it into her palm, fingers lingering, warm and insistent. "Open it, love. For us." She perched on the chaise, heart a soft drum, the city's pulse sinking below. Hinge side open, pearls caught light like captured stars. The locket, initials entwined, a nod to her vine sculpture, drew her breath. "Blake, it's inside," he urged, voice thickening, gaze intense as a storm front. Nails parted the clasp. Photo slipped. Him, tender against a curve of life, ultrasounds flutter. Reality fractured, 7 years of his grief, her sacrifices, crumbling to dust. "Blake," shock laced her tone, gown rustling as she surged up, his face contorted, hand clawing chest. "Nora, help! It burns! Please!" Collapse thundered, body folding, screams clawing the air. She lunged, cradling him, world narrowing to his ragged breaths amid the lie's fresh wound. "If this unraveling tugs at your own guarded heart, pause now. Hit like if you've ever held a love through shadows, and share in comments. What's the one truth you'd demand in the flames? Your stories weave ours stronger." "Onward to the dawn," she claimed. Sirens wailed through Manhattan's veins, an urban dirge cutting the night as paramedics stormed the penthouse. Nora knelt amid the chaos, Blake's head in her lap, fingers threading his hair, instinct overriding the ice in her veins. "Stay with me," she commanded, voice steady as site foreman under deadline fire, even as the photo's betrayal seared her retinas. IV lines snaked his arm, monitors beeping frantic Morse. They lifted him onto the gurney, her hand slipping from his only when wheels rattled toward the elevator. Riverside Generese ER swallowed them whole, antiseptic bite sharp as shattered glass, fluorescent strips buzzing overhead like angry wasps. Nora paced the beige linoleum, emerald gown traded for scrubs that hung loose on her frame. The locket's photo folded in her fist like a talisman of ruin. Hours blurred. Doctors murmuring vasovagal episode. Emotional overload mimicking cardiac. Her nodding through fog, mind racing blueprints of escape. "He's stable," the lead physician finally said. Clipboard barrier lowered, eyes kind but probing. Guilt manifests physically. His systems revolt. Talk to him. Unburdening might steady the rhythm. Guilt. The syllable landed heavy, a foundation stone shifted. Nora exhaled, stealing, desire's old embers now cold accusation, and pushed through the curtain. Blake lay elevated, gown gaping at his throat to reveal the chest she'd once worshipped with lips and tongue, now pale under monitor glow. Tubes tethered him like accusations. His eyes fluttered open, seeking hers with fractured urgency. "Nora?" rasped plea, hand twitching toward her. She halted at the bed rail, arms folding like buttresses against collapse, the photo's edges biting her palm. "What was it supposed to buy you?" Her tone cut clean, honed by years of client negotiations. No tremor, just precision. A grand reveal. "The locket as your white flag after a decade of charade?" He winced, not from pain lines, but her gaze, raw, unyielding. I planned the words. Tonight, all out. Evelyn, Theo, the by 7 years, Nora. I thought confession could salvage us. Tears tracked his temples, voice cracking on the names like dry timber. You were soaring, Dubai deals, Tokyo triumphs. I couldn't match. The labs, I faked them. Needed you to stay, to choose me without pity. She stepped closer, unfolding the photo to let it flutter onto his blanket like fallout. Pity? I chose devotion. Held your grief through nights I sketched empty rooms, swallowed my ache for little feet echoing our halls, while you built theirs with my design's profits. Fury simmered low, a forged heat, but beneath the old longing, twisted now into something sharper, a blade of what-ifs. His fingers grazed the image, trembling. Evelyn started as distraction, a conference flirt in Vegas, her laugh cutting through my doubts. Spiraled to brownstone leases, trust funds, told her I was widowed. You the ghost ex who froze my heart. Sob choked him, monitors spiking. The money, 3 million siphoned subtle from our joint streams. To shield you from fallout, I swore. Shield? Laughter escaped edged and hollow, echoing off beeping walls. You funded her glow while I dimmed at mine. Late atelier hours, bourbon chasers to numb the barren echo. Intimacy became ritual, your touches apology scripts. I climaxed to your whispers, believing we mourned together. Vulnerability cracked her voice then, a fissure, desire's ghost stirring conflict, the body remembering his weight even as mine recoiled. Blake's hand extended fully, plea in every line. I love you, always. Evelyn was shadow play. Come closer, let me prove. Prove? She snatched the photo, crumpling it in fist. You scream not from pain, but truth's dawn. My devotion was your cage key. Now it's mine. Monitors wailed protest as she turned, curtains swishing like finality. His call chased, Nora, wait! We rebuild, therapy, truth. Door clicked shut. Corridor stretched endless, her borrowed scrubs chafing like lies shed. Phone in hand, his, unlocked in collapse, she scrolled. Evelyn's text laced with heart emojis, Theo's crayon scans beaming from a nursery she'd never seen, transfers time-stamped holidays she'd spent alone, blueprints funding his double dawn. Vivian Locke answered on first ring, voice a whip crack. Boss, talk. Betrayal blueprint, Nora said, hailing a cab to the skyline's edge. 7 years, secret son, stolen streams. Draw the siege lines, assets freeze by morning. Vivian's chuckle was steel on steel. Revenge or release? Both. He built on sand. I reclaimed the stone. Dawn crept as she arrived home. Penthouse now crypt of echoes. Gown discarded in heap, she poured scotch neat, burn chasing the chill. Bed vast, she traced sheets where his form once pressed. Fingers wandering her own curves, chasing phantom heat, but release evaded, tangled in thorns. Tomorrow war. Tonight the fracture's quiet roar. Sun breached the penthouse blinds like an intruder's glare. Gilding blueprints strewn across Nora's atelier desk. Thames Tower sketches, helix curves mocking the twist in her gut. Coffee steamed black beside her, untouched. Sleep had been fragments. Dreams of Blake's collapse replaying in erotic horror, his body arching not in ecstasy but agony, her hands on him, savior and executioner. Vulnerability lingered, a low hum. Desire's betrayal left her skin fevered, craving touch unpoisoned, but resolve armored her now, a exoskeleton of ink and intent. Vivian's arrival was punctual thunder, stilettos echoing marble, leather folio underarm like a warlord's scroll. Timeline, injunctions by 10, dissolution draft noon, 3 mil restitution, priority on the Brooklyn nest. She spread docs across the table, tabs flagging transfers, Evelyn's emails a trail of digital infidelity. Counters possible, he's got bored allies. But this, Vivian tapped a forged lab report, seal from Blake's owned clinic, gleaming false. Perjury gold, we eviscerate. Nora traced a transfer date, her Dubai bonus vanished to Theo's trust. Evict him from every joint. Tower funding reroutes to Ashford's soul. In the boy, longing pierced, sharp as rebar, visions of small hands in hers, guiding scale models now tainted by theft. Maximum support, backdated, no games. Vivian's gaze softened fractionally, rare mercy. Motherhood's ghost? Channel it. Build legacies that outlast his rot. They plotted through brunch, avocado toast cooling as clauses sharpened, asset seizures, alimony spikes, non-disclosure on the fakes to spare Theo headlines. Phone buzzed relentless. Blake's voicemails, 50 plus, voice fraying from plea to panic. Nora, hospital discharge today. Meet me, coffee at our spot. I feel you slipping. Don't let lies steal us. Delete cascade, each swipe a liberation. Twist arrived mid-memo. Vivian's PI pinged. Evelyn's email, forwarded venom. Knew the wife truth late. Blake dangled divorce next month. Theo's our ace now. Meet or photos drop. Him in your bed. Me riding the wave he denied you. Attachments loaded. Grainy shots. Blake's penthouse sheets twisted. Evelyn's form arched in mid-gasp. His hands gripping hips Nora once claimed. Heat flushed her cheeks. Not jealousy pure, but the erotic echo, her own body remembering that angle, that abandon, now weaponized. Truce or torch? Vivian arched a brow. Truce for the child. Nora's voice steadied, conflict churning. Blake's lies bound them, yet Evelyn's gaze in the photo held no triumph, just survival's edge. Soho Cafe hummed neutral, espresso tank cutting fog, corner booth shielding from street gaze. Evelyn entered on cue, raven waves tousled, sheath dress molding postpartum grace. Theo balanced on hip. 4. Compact energy, hazel eyes wide as he clutched a dinosaur plush. You, Evelyn said, settling, voice edged but weary. Look like the fortress he described. Unbreakable. Nora slid the folder across scarred oak. Support projections, custody outlines, Provence relocation fund. Blake wove webs for us both. To me, barren saint. To you, widowed victim. Theo deserves son, not scandals. Theo squirmed, plush-thumping table, babbling, T-Rex roars, his timbre a gut punch. Blake's echo in miniature, stirring the ache she'd armored. Evelyn flipped pages, breath hitching at figures. He swore you'd scorch earth, freeze accounts, paint me harlot. Pause, eyes lifting, sharpening. Mercy, why offer when you could claim? Longing surfaced, raw. Nora's hand twitching toward Theo's curls, withheld. His love hollowed me 7 years, mourned cradles while funding yours. Freeing you frees me. Vulnerability slipped, voice softening. Did he touch you like promise? Whisper futures in the dark? Evelyn's laugh was brittle, Theo distracting with a roar. Like addiction, fierce then fleeting. Nights he'd slip from your bed to mine, tasting of your perfume. Heat bloomed unwelcome, erotic ghost. Nora envisioning the press of bodies, conflict twisting desire into mirror-shard empathy. But mornings, excuses always. Theo reached then, plush extended. Roar for lady? Nora accepted, tiny fingers brushing hers, spark of what might, fulfillment's tease amid ruins. Deal, Evelyn murmured, pocketing folder. For him, Provence calls. They parted under drizzle, Nora's cab slicing traffic, phone alight. Vivian. Board vote tomorrow, Blake's rallying vipers, countersuing ambition abuse. Your fire drove his fall, he claims. Resolve hardened, a pour of molten steel. Let serpents coil. I'll be the storm. Evening found her in atelier solitude, charcoal yielding to curves, not towers, but forms entwined, bodies seeking solace. Fingers wandered lower, gown parting under self-touch, slow circles chasing heat, breaths quickening to imagined mouths. But climax hovered elusive, tangled in thorns of trust. War dawned, her body a battlefield reclaimed. If this web of whispers stirs your deepest yearnings, linger here. Subscribe if new, and comment. In love's labyrinth, would you extend the olive branch or wield the blade? Your truths light our path, deeper now to the boardroom blaze. Harrington Tech's boardroom perched 30 stories high, a glass area where Manhattan sprawled submissive below. Towers Nora had birthed now pawns in the fray. She entered last, power suit midnight blue, with shoulders like fortified parapets, heels clicking verdict on polished teak. Air crackled ozone thick, executives in Hermes ties shifting like fault lines. Blake anchored the head, gaunt in bespoke gray, lawyer a bristling shadow at flank. Ms. Ashford, counsel in tone, voice slick as oiled gears. My client posits your career veracity forged an untenable hearth, exacerbating his frailties to infidelity's brink. Frailties. The term slithered, pinning her ambition as villain. Blake's gaze across expanse a silent beg. See me, still yours. Nora claimed her seat deliberate, folio unfurling like battle maps. Affidavits crisp, Evelyn's sworn renunciation a dagger's edge. Frailties such as clinic-forged barren tales? Or ventures joint siphoned to shadow homes? She distributed dossiers, pages whispering accusations, timestamps damning holidays. Theo's trust bloated on her Dubai windfall. Murmurs swelled. A venture capitalist averted eyes, another's pen stilled mid-note. Blake leaned forward, voice a gravel plea cutting tension. Nora, this devours us both. Our helix, your designs, my code, unraveled by one night's fracture. His hand half rose, knuckles white, evoking nights those fingers had traced her spine, drawing moans from parted lips. Desire's specter, now conflict's fuel. Unraveled? Her retort resonated, clear as poured foundation. You etched the fissures. Labs lied, ledgers looted. I envisioned empires enduring tempests. You weathered none but truth's gale. Dossiers landed final, Evelyn's script sealing. Deception mutual, no claims on her hearth. Board faces hardened. Vote called swift, shares iced. Nora's project vetoes ironclad. Blake's empire tilted, countersuit ash under evidence's blaze. He surged as chairs scraped, voice climbing desperate. Wait, coffee after? Remember our first skyline toast? Your laugh in the wind? Echoes erotic, that night, post-gala, against a construction scaffold, his mouth devouring her neck, hands hiking skirt to thrust home under stars. Fulfillment wild, now weapon turned inward. She paused at threshold, gaze level, vulnerability flickering, quelled. Toast sour on stolen lips. Rebuild alone, Blake. My spans endure. Doors sealed his protest. Elevator descent, a freefall echo. By dusk, Nora's stake liquidated, some swelling Ashford coffers to unprecedented girth. Penthouse echoes hollowed, his suits boxed for midtown exile, gallery photos veiled. Vivian's courier delivered decrees. Brooklyn seized for amends, support maxed, backdated bite. Evelyn's thanks pinged terse. Provence awaits. Theo draws towers. Yours, he says. Jet fuel whispered relocation. London, Thames Tower beckoning. A verdant coil defying gravity. Her renewal forged in fog. Cab to JFK, city lights streaking farewell. Nora's reflection in window fierce. Curves once softened for his gaze now unapologetic. Desire dormant but stirring. A low coil awaiting worthy spark. Heathrow dawn greeted with mist-kissed spires. Cab weaving to Kensington's Georgian embrace. High ceilings awaiting her chaos. Atelier primed for helix birth. Unpacking yielded salvaged nudes. Charcoal lovers arched in abandon. Bodies a language she'd fluency lost. Wine poured deep crimson. She wandered rooms, silk robe parting to mirrors truth. Fingers ghosting breasts swell. Thighs inner silk, chasing solitary heat. Breaths deepen, circles tightening on ache's core, climax cresting soft, waves lapping without anchor, fulfillment half measure. Vulnerabilities tied. Touch me real, unshadowed. Site visit next morn. Thames churned gray-green, crew swarming scaffolds like devoted cells. Julian Hale commanded amid girders, 42, chestnut tousle wind-tossed, frame broad from labor's forge. Eyes sea storm gray locking hers, mid-brief. Ms. Ashford, handshake firm, callous rasping palm electric. Your coil seduces physics, twists defying fall. Word hung charged, his gaze tracing her as blueprint. Throats line, hips sway in hard hat and heels. Seduction, she arched, pulse quickening, desire's tentative thaw. Innovation, Mr. Hale, though curves do invite surrender. His laugh rumbled low, intimate. Surrender's finest yield. Talk flowed beam to brace, his precision grounding her vision. Shared glances lingering like foreplay's promise. As crew dispersed, he lingered. Gala tonight, towers toast. Your helix deserves witnesses. Longing crested subtle, Blake's ghosts fading to Julian's warmth. Lead the vision. If this boardroom blaze fans your inner warrior's flame smash like, has ambition ever been your blade in love's arena? Share below your battles embolden ours to London's lure, where embers meet their match. The gala unfurled in a Docklands warehouse reborn, exposed brick veined with Edison bulbs, Thames's gleam framing through arched panes like liquid invitation. Nora navigated velvet ropes in emerald silk, echo of that faded gown, but cut bolder, neckline plunging to tease cleavage's shadow, slit bearing leg to mid-thigh with each stride. Heels sank into Persian rugs, air humming with claret pours and murmurs of patrons. Architects in linen, engineers nursing IPAs, all orbiting the Helix model's glow. Her vision scaled, lights pulsing through green-veined glass like a lover's vein under skin. Julian found her at the bar, frame-cutting crowd effortless, crisp shirt sleeves rolled to expose forearms corded from wrench turns, trousers molding thighs that promise power. "You command even here," he said, voice a low timbre over ice clink, handing her a flute that bubbled like anticipation. His nearness stirred air, scent of clean soap and sight dust, heat radiating as elbow brushed hers. "Command?" She sipped, bubbles teasing tongue, gaze holding his storm-gray depths. "Merely in habit, your braces hold the real sway. Without them, my dreams tumble." Laughter shared, easy, wine loosening tongues as they circled the model, fingers nearly touching over curve tracings. "This twist," he murmured, breath warm on her neck as he leaned, "evokes abandon, bodies coiling, unyielding yet fluid." Words undercurrent hummed, desire's spark igniting, her pulse at wrist visible, thighs pressing subtle under silk. Stories spilled, his divorce's scar, ex's chisel carving trust to shards, her veiled illusions to foundations cracked, longing veiled in ambition's armor. Hours waned, quartet strings yielding to bass thrum, his hand at her low back guided through throng, touch light but anchoring, sending shivers upward. Midnight Thames? Invitation husky, eyes darkening. The river courts boldly under moon. Yearning crested, Blake's echoes drowned in this man's gravity. "Court me then." Riverside path misted silver, gas lamps haloing their forms. Silence companionable at first, then confessions. His fear of half-built bonds, her whisper of a scream that sundered vows. At iron bench, water-lapping black velvet below, he turned her, thumbs framing jaw, tilting to capture lips. Kiss bloomed slow, Merlot-tang mouths parting, tongues tentative, then bold, a dance of exploring claim. Her hands rose to his chest, feeling heart's gallop mirror hers. His slid to waist, pulling flush, breasts pressing his plane, nipples peeking against lace as thigh nudged hers through slit. Gasps parted them, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling fog. "My townhouse," she breathed, voice raw silk. Now before dawn steals the dare. Door yielded to foyer shadows. Urgency crested as he lifted her, legs wrapping hips instinctive, gown hiking as back met wall. Mouth descended throat's column, nips at pulse, licks tracing collarbones dip, hands cupping breasts through silk, thumbs circling crests to elicit moans that echoed vaulted ceilings. "Nor," growl vibrated against skin, arousal's ridge grinding her core through denim, heat flooding, slickness easing laces cling. She tugged his shirt free, nails raking abdomen's ridges, down to belt. Fumbling release as hips rolled, friction teasing ache to throb. "Bed," he rasped, carrying her up creaking stairs, each step a jolt against her center, breaths hitching. Bedroom door nudged wide, candles from gala afterthought flickered, gilding sheets ivory. He laid her deliberate as altar offering, robe. No, gown unzipped slow, fabric whispering down shoulders, bearing lace bra, then nothing as clasp yielded. Exposed, she trembled. Vulnerability raw, skin goose-fleshed under his gaze. Devouring. Exquisite, let worship begin. Kneeling between thighs, parted instinctive. His mouth followed path. Kisses inner knee. Trailing fire to apex. Breath hot prelude before tongue parted folds. Circling pearl with languid precision. Nora arched, hands fisting duvet, moans spilling as licks deepened. Fervent laps yielding to suck. Fingers joining. Two curling insides stroking velvet walls to that ridge sparking stars. Julian, God, yes! Conflict swirled. Blake's ghost in the surrender, overwritten by this reverence. Desire's rebirth in each quiver. Climax built inexorable. Coils tightening. She shattered, cry keening high, waves pulsing as he drank every tremor, thumb pressing clit through aftershocks. He rose, shedding shirt to reveal torso sculpted labor, pecs dusted dark, abs flexing as jeans followed. Cock springing thick-veined, tip weeping invitation. She pulled him down, guiding velvet length to entrance. Slick welcome easing his slide home, both gasping at stretches burned sweet. Rhythm ignited slow, rocks building thrust, her hips meeting each plunge, walls clenching as he filled utterly. Eyes on me, he demanded, pace quickening, hands pinning wrists light, mouth claiming nipple, teeth grazing to spark. Vulnerability peaked. It's been hollow so long. Fear this fades? Feels eternal, he vowed, surging deeper, angle hitting nerves, singing symphony, frenzy now, skin slapping, sweat sheening bodies. Her release crested second, sob-laced, clenching him over edge. He followed, groan burying neck deep, hot spill flooding as fulfillment crashed mutual. Bodies quaking entwined. Afterglow tangled them, his fingers tracing hips curve, lazy, her head pillowed chest, heart's lullaby steady. Healing's curve, he murmured, thumb brushing tears track. Twists, but ascends. She nodded, chest aching sweet, desire sated, yet longing deepened. For mornings unalone, touches untainted. Dawn crept, phone stirred. Vivian. Tabloids twist. Architect's ambition. Billionaire's fall. Blake's spin escalates, conflict renewed, but Julian's arm tightened. Anchor in storm. Face it with me? Yes, whisper vow. Passion's helix spun anew. Weeks wove their coil tighter. Thames sight a daily altar. Julian's presence amid girders a gravitational pull. Stolen mid-morning kisses behind crane shadows. His mouth claiming hers fierce. Hands hiking skirt to fingers delve lace aside. Stroking quick to muffled gasps before foreman calls shattered haze. Romance ripened in stolen breaths. Notting Hill evenings at his flat, fire crackling as they dined tagine spiced lamb, his foot tracing calf under table. Leading to rug-tumbled urgency, her straddling lap, skirt bunched waist, riding slow circles as fork-paused mid-bite, moans blending spice and surrender. Desire deepened explicit, vulnerability's veil thinning. One storm-lashed night, rain lashing pains like jealous lovers. Julian drew bath steaming rose, joining behind, chest to her back, hands soaping swells, fingers pinching nipples to taut peaks, eliciting arches that sloshed water. Let shadows speak, he coaxed, lips nipping lobe as hand descended, fingers parting slick folds, curling deliberate to stroke that inner spark. Nora's head fell his shoulder, breaths ragged. Blake's lie, faked barren to bind me, mourned cradles while he seated elsewhere. Vulnerability spilled with each thrust of digits, conflict churning as pleasure coiled. Thumb circling pearl, pace building to frenzy. Hollowed me, trust's grave. His free hand splayed womb flat, voice gravel vow. Your vessel whole, legacies beyond blood. Turn fluid her perched tub edge. He rose behind, oiled length pressing rear, slow breach, inch by tender inch, fullness blooming burned to bliss. Trust this yield, rasp accompanied snaps. Deep, possessive, hand-reaching round to T's front. Dual assault shattering her keening, walls fluttering release as he spilled hot, collapse water warm, fulfillment's balm-soothing scars. Twist struck mid-coil, Evelyn's call pierced atelier hush, voice fracture. Theo, leukemia shadow, scans confirm, Blake dodges bills, cries poverty post-seizure. Rage ignited, old longing transmuting to fierce channel. Nora's funds funneled veiled, Vivian's motions filing enforcement bites that drained Blake's remnants. For the boy, she told Julian over claret that eve, his nod steady as braces. Your mercy's strength. Bond intensified. Cotswolds escape. Misted meadows yielding to hayloft tryst. Sun-warm bales cradling as she knelt. Mouth enveloping his length. Tongue swirling crown to base. savoring salt and groan as hands threaded hair gentle. Nora, witchcraft, he gasped, hips stuttering before pulling her up, reversing to feast, tongue delving core, fingers spreading to lap deeper, her thighs quaking round ears till cry peaked, slick flooding. Entry followed prone, him covering, thrusts measured missionary, gazes locked as she confessed. Feared Baron's brand eternal. Surge met words, bear worlds with me, ideas, touches, tomorrows. Climax dull, her clench milking his spill, vulnerability yielding fulfillment's forge. Drama-crested London fog, Blake materialized sight unbidden, trench frayed, eyes feral hollows. Nora, the rags devour me, Evelyn bleeds dry, bored ghosts haunt. Julian tense flank, but she advanced, hard hat shadow sharpening jaw. Your forge, your pyre. Scream that night. Empire's death knell, mine sings. He clutched scaffold, plea climbing, reconcile, spin as trial overcome. Feel this? Hand gestured heart, evoking old presses. Erotic memory clash, her body recalling arch under him. Now recoil. Security peeled him gentle. His fade whispered, lost without you. Aftershocks lingered. Julian sensed unrest, drawing her to Flat's hearth. Wine mulled cinnamon warm, bodies curling sofa. Ghost's claw, lips brushed at temple. She nodded, turning to straddle. Gown parting easy, his arousal stirring beneath. Slow descent, filling inch by velvet, rocks languid as confessions flowed. His touch, once temple, now temple's mine. Hands guided hips, thumbs circling where joined. Pace building, friction, sparking nerves to blaze. Claim it, he urged, mouth suckling, breast, teeth grazing to spark. Release crested tandem, her sob-laced wave, his groan deep spill. Fulfillment anchoring, morals murmured post-glow. Love's true span bears storms unfeigned. Tower-topped verdant triumph, unveiling a claim etching Nora's ascent. Blake's realm acquired rival's maw, fortune fractioned. Theo's care, Evelyn's decree. Indifference settled, a quiet crown. If these twists tangle your own heartstrings, heart it now, comment. When passion pierces pain, what's your anchor? Shares spread the coil. Subscribe for more flames forged true. Thames Tower's crest gleamed emerald-veined, unveiling gala, a symphony of gasps. Nora center stage, suit sapphire sharp. Julian flank proud as helix lights pulsed life. Accolades reigned. Dame Ashford, murmurs crowned, her name steel-etched legacy. Blake glimpsed soul in tabloid grain, hollow at distant gala, remarried quiet to echo uncherished. Theo blooming Provence under Evelyn's sun. Irrelevance absolute, her gaze sliding past to Julian's hand. Warm, unyielding. Proposal crested dusk atop coil's core. City ablaze below, his kneel amid braces, platinum twist mirroring design. Forge eternal with me. Voice rough emotion, band extended. No veils, no fractures, just us, ascending bold. Tears blurred spires, she hauled him up, kiss fierce, hands fumbling, belt amid steel hush, urgency cresting. Gown rucked thigh-high, his trousers yielding, lift seamless, her back beam cool as legs locked waist, guiding length home. Thrust gravity deep, gasps echoing void. Slow grinds built frenzy, nails raking neck, his snaps hitting core's blaze. Fulfillment shattering mutual under sunset's gold. Spill hot as vows unspoken. Wedding Cornish cliff edge. Waves crashing applause. Salt-kissed air thick promise. Vows sea-sung, his partnership unshadowed. Hers tolerance for dawn, coffee's misplaced. Laughter rippling guests. Vivian toasting blades sheathed. Evelyn distant nod with Theo's wave. Rings sealed span, fulfillment's seal. Honeymoon Santorini sun-drenched. Villa White's blinding. Caldera views endless. Morning's lazy oral altars. Her kneeling azure tiles. Mouth worshipping velvet steel. Tongue tracing vein to swirl crown. His hands gentle hair tug as groans built. Spill savory on tongue's welcome. Afternoons in anal tender. Oils warmed, his fingers prepping slow circles to breach. Fullness exquisite as she arched balcony rail. Waves below mirroring rhythms swell. Vulnerability in yield. Fear surrenders edge. Edge births flight. rasp met thrusts measured, hand-reaching clit teased till dual peaks quaked. His release deep as cries Aegean tossed. Night's tantric weave, bodies oiled Aegean glow, limbs entwined slow. His entry languid, rocks drawing multiples. Her first cresting frictions build, walls fluttering. Second his thumbs press, third gaze locked surge. Eternal in whispers amid afterwaves, fulfillment's tide. Years tempered gold. Dame Nora mentored rising flames, Ashford Hale hybrid spanning continents. Home Georgian hybrid, laughter threading blueprints. Touches nightly reclamation. Blake footnote faded, therapy's tool perhaps mending his fractures. But hers? Transcended, desire's helix unbreaking. One eve, hearth warm, Julian pulled close, fingers tracing rings twist. Survive pyre, built phoenix. She smiled, hand descending to stir his warmth. Straddle fluid, entry home as always. Rocks languid building fierce. Best forge, you. Climax crested shared, bodies quake sealed, moral breathed post glow. Love demands bare truth. From ash, empires rise unfeigned. Beautiful dreamers, if Nora's ascent stirs your soul's fire, like this tale's embers, has rebuilding ever been your sweetest triumph? Comment your Phoenix moment. Share some and more. Subscribers, your light guides. Newcomers, subscribe. Don't miss love's next coil. Until whispers next, hearts entwined, forever ascending.